What's up, everybody? Derek, more plates, more dates. Well, just kidding. It's your boy Telly. And I'm here to talk about a pretty cool video called Revealed, XIAOJUN's top secret for the snatch. This is from Squat Jerk Journalist, a channel on YouTube. Guys, we got to support these weightlifting channels. I mean, if you're a human that likes this sport, you're going to like Chinese weightlifting. So follow this. It's awesome. The main topic here is adding variance to your training. And the reason for that, and I've talked about this a lot before in a particular video that I did, I use Klokov as an example. And when we find ourselves always focusing on our snatch technique, directly going to the snatch, and this could be for the clean and jerk. This could be for, if you guys don't even snatch or clean and jerk, you watch my channel. This could be for the back squat, deadlift, front squat, any exercise. I highly suggest using variance to create new conditions for your lifts. Hang snatches, no hook snatches, no foot snatches, snatches off blocks, and so on and so forth. We want to add in those conditions so that we don't go crazy. We also want to add them in so we can focus on getting the same stimulus that we would from just snatching, but we can also work on aspects of the lift that need working on. We also get out of the mindset of pursuing load as the only thing that determines our success. Because at the end of the day, this sport is very specific. 3 snatch attempts, 3 clean and jerk attempts. That's all we get. It becomes difficult for us to switch off that load matters and switch on technicality and switch on, focusing on different parts and general physical performance as it pertains to this very specific sport. And so one of the things in this video that XIAOJUN talks about is a way of like gamifying your training. Also, I don't know if Squat Jerk Journalist is American or not Chinese, but it sounds to me like his Mandarin is pretty goddamn sound.
握举会稍微握宽一点，这个方便聊吗？
这个可以，这个有什么呢？我希望你们都希望可能说通过这个采访，就是说把这些就是专业的一些技术知识啊，就是希望你们都能跟大家一起分享，挺好的。因为相对说抓举对于我来说的话，可能就是说这么多年形成的一个习惯。你包括我以前打77的时候，知道吗？其实这也是怎么说
He said he did this as a 77. If you guys haven't seen some of XIAOJUN's best lifts as a 77, definitely check them out. He did 176 in the snatch, and I don't remember, something over 200, like could have been 207 in the clean and jerk. And that was one of the OG videos for me, like that I used as motivation for like to train. So Lao Wei, a teammate of his back a few years ago, Lao Wei is an absolute monster, by the way.
直腿抓的时候，他就是说我跟他就是说比那个就直腿抓的时候，不是高抓也不是抓举的时候，就是我们直腿抓。直腿抓，我相信你们都应该明白吧？直接抓起来，知道吗？其实它就跟握举有关系，知道吗？他刚开始啊，他这个虎口啊，他是压着这个线，知道吗？没超过线，就是好比我说直腿抓，我跟大伙比一下啊，好，我一看抓个100这么沉，我再一看到握举啊，他那个握举，他那个虎口啊，他没超过这个线，他在这儿。完事后呢，我看加个105，放宽了，我是这样子，他因为他是这样带的就比较高了，知道吗
？You have to realize that like when all you do is snatch and clean and jerk and back squat, front squat, pull, you have to alleviate that pressure every once in a while and gamify your training. These guys are having a muscle snatch competition. Like, yeah, they get their training in, but they're also f***ing around in the gym, but they're still training. And the crazy thing is those times where you're messing around, like, let's have a muscle snatch competition. Those are the times that help you improve. One of the greatest sessions I ever did, my buddy and I put 70 kilos on the bar and we would do what's called like complex horse. And horse, where in basketball, like you shoot a jump shot from somewhere and your friend has to match it or else they get a letter. Well, we did it with complexes, power snatch plus hang full snatch. And then your buddy had to do it. And if he missed it, they would get a letter. The funny thing was, while we were doing that, we were having a ton of fun, but we were building capacity for that weight. My ability to now look at 70 kilos at that time was like, oh, I'm going to destroy this, you know, because I did millions of complexes with it. That's some of the stuff that these guys are doing. They're obviously so good and they've snatched so much weight. But while they're training, you know, it's hard to just look at it and be like, this is the load you lift today, do it. And if you don't, like, it's a bad day or something like that. You know, sometimes they have fun. He's also gaming the lift in the sense that he's starting with a narrow grip and moving his grip out as it gets harder and harder or heavier and heavier. Now, there's a couple of reasons for this. One of the main ones he says here, the bar gets higher up on you. You know, you bump your grip out, the bar goes higher up on you. That kind of makes sense, right? But it's also like choking up on the bat in baseball when you're down in the count. And you see guys, it's like an old tradition thing where they choke up on the bat. They literally, I have a hammer here for some reason. You know, here's their grip on the bat. They scoot it up a little bit and then it adds bat speed and more control to their swing. It's one of those things, you know, a lot of you guys out there don't snatch and don't clean and jerk. And if you back squat, you might have your knee sleeves rolled down and you might have your belt off. Once you get to a certain weight, you pull your knee sleeves up. Once you get to another certain weight, you have your knee sleeves and your belt. Once you get to another weight, you do knee sleeves, belt, and then you take a sniff of ammonia, right? You're having fun with it. That's the sort of training that you guys need to start incorporating. I use Klokov as a great example. He uses variance quite obviously in his training in a lot of his YouTube videos. You know, I don't know the full extent as to why he did it. And I'm sure there's going to be some internet expert doing that. But when you say, okay, guys, I'm going to do a thruster, or I'm going to do a pause front squat where I pause in the hole for like 10 seconds, or I'm going to snatch from deficits. By the way, he has one of the craziest lifts ever. It's like 200 or maybe 205 for a deficit snatch double. It's ridiculous. He's not actually looking for a certain percentage. He's just building weight with these additional conditions, and the weight will get better and you'll get a great training session out of it. So I have an example here. I would warm up with a clean grip snatch, which is a very narrow grip. And then once it got too heavy, I would bump my hands out. I would go with no hook grip. Then once that got too heavy, I would go with a hook grip. Then when that got too heavy, I would add in straps. I was essentially doing what Liu Xiaojun was saying, but a little bit more extreme. And it's definitely something I would, you know, challenge you guys to try and do yourselves. Why is this movement helpful? Well, you know, when you extend in the snatch, when it gets heavy in your hands, you really want to touch the bar to your hips and drop as fast as you can. It's a reason why people do muscle snatches. You hit the bar off your hips and you finish tall. You have no choice but to stay up after you extend. And so when the grip is in narrow like that, the distance the bar has to travel is much more. Also, the mobility demands. It's a lot harder to hold a barbell with a narrow grip overhead than it is a slightly wider one or a snatch grip overhead and squat down underneath it. Another reason why squat jerking is tough and why I made that video, You Are Not Lou. I warm up with this movement. I get my T-spine feeling really good. My tempo, my extension, man, I'm extending super hard into the bar. The bar is flying up. Then I go up. A few weeks later, I kept doing this. I don't want to get copyrighted. So that's 100. And then I finished out that session with 123 in the snatch. And then even further here, I did 105. One thing that I would do is I would pair this with deficit snatches. So you can see my hip crease is above my knee crease pretty obviously here. And this is your clean start position. I'm missing out on the stimulus of pulling the bar off the floor with a wide grip in a very compensated position. So when I switch to actually snatching, it becomes very difficult, right? Because my hips have been up so high. You know, I have that longer arm. I have the longer arms because my arms are narrower. I can have my chest up higher. So I would consider pairing that with a deficit snatch. So if you guys know what deficit snatches are, you would have your feet on something and then the bar would be a little bit lower. You could do it with plates, but I wouldn't suggest it. The best thing would be like horse stall mats, or those rubber mats. You could kind of stack those to whatever height you would like. You don't want to fall off of the deficit. I wouldn't really suggest going that heavy to where you can't control where you land. But the reason why that's a great pairing is because now you get the opposite end. You get into a very compensated position so much further than where you started here. Your hips actually have to start lower than they normally would with the snatch. And so you can kind of mix those two together. Obviously, doing both of these paired together is not going to just boost your snatch total. You have to snatch to get better at snatching. But it's just different ideas. And again, it alleviates the pressure, right? You're not just focusing on load, you're focusing on these new conditions. So absolutely try and add in different things. I have certain programs on my Patreon that have a lot of my programs on Patreon add in a ton of variance to get you in that mindset so that you can end up kind of training yourself. So check those out as well. And that's it. I'll see you guys on the next video.